Hello.
Hello,
Hi.
everyone.
Oh, hey. Well, I'm going to introduce you, Jason. So I'm going to say a few words about you first, okay? So, first of all, I want to thank you all for being here. And this is Jason, who's ready to go, but I thought I would just do a little introduction and also say how excited I am that actually Toronto has come out of lockdown. So starting next week, I hope you'll all make appointments to come into the gallery and you can actually see Jason's work in person, which is the first time I've been able to say that before because we've always been so locked down. Anyways, I wanted to tell you just a little bit about Jason. He grew up in Washington State in Puget Island, well, on Whidbey Island in Puget Sound. And I've actually been there, Jason. I didn't mention this to you before, but I visited Dick Marquis, who is
Yeah,
also, an
it's a
expert
tough.
in
Yeah.
Reticello, you're right, and
hmm
Venetian techniques. So I know it's an absolutely beautiful place to live.
hmm
I'm not going to talk about your parents because I've heard you speak about them, but I did want to mention that probably if it wasn't for your mother, and that's what the great thing about moms, if it wasn't for your mother, you might not even be here today because she was the one who said to you, you should really go to downtown Seattle and check out this glass blowing studio. And Jason was at a bit of a crossroads, not sure what he was going to do right then. And that was it. He was hooked. It was the early 90s, and Jason was 21 years old. And that was quite a time in the glass movement because Dale Chihuly was hanging chandeliers over the canals in Venice. And Venetian artists like Lino were in Seattle teaching four generations of glass blowers how to work the Venetian style. Uh, I think the most important thing too in those days, Jason, was the community, the sense of community between the artists. And I wasn't involved then out in Seattle, but I know today when I go to Seattle, it's the same type of feeling. I think
hmm
it's still the same community. It's so tight and everyone is so happy for other people's success.
hmm
It's pretty amazing. Um, Jason's techniques, though, are he just oozes with talent and with techniques that many people, very few people can really do. He excels at it. Um, I really think there are very few people at your level, and you keep pushing it and coming up with new techniques and new things to do. Aside from his own work, Jason is an integral part of Dale Chihuly's team for how many years now, Jason? Have you been
We're going on 16 years. It's hard to
16?
believe. It's
Yeah.
hard to believe.
So, it was really because a lot of people on this tour may remember when Susan Marbito came on and we did a tour of the Chihuly studio. And I was going to say it was really because of Susan Marbito that I met Jason because I was
hmm
at the studio and it was in 2017. And Susan said, there's someone I want you to meet. He's so incredibly talented. You have to meet Jason. And that's really how we met and started to work together. So I have to thank her. And I think at that
Thank you.
point, she also told me that one of the first cello pieces that you made, Dale has in his collection.
Yep.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, that's really something I know it's in a very prominent spot when you go through the boathouse. You can't help but see it. So that has to be the ultimate compliment and respect. So you've worked with the best. I mean, you work with on Dale's team, with Martin Blank, Nancy Cowan, Lino.
hmm
You're going to tell us all about that. So
Yeah.
if there are questions during this tour, just push the Q&A or the chat, and we'll try to ask Jason the questions. And here he is, the man in his studio, his home studio in
hmm
Seattle.
Yep.
So
Yep.
hi, Jason.
Hey guys, first of all, thank you, Sandra and Daniel, for this opportunity. Amazing opportunity. Uh, uh, yeah, I'm really excited, and I'm really excited about the work that you guys have up there. It's been a long time coming, and I've spent about a year and a half composing everything that you guys have. So I'm very excited about the pieces that you guys have up there.
I love the pieces. I really mean that. I waited for them for a while and I love them. They're really beautiful, Jason.
Thank you.
So, you know, I want to congratulate you just to talk personally for a second, because you've become a father, a new father, not that long ago.
Yeah. I have a baby boy, Graham, who is 9 months old. He is the light of my life. It's amazing. I never thought that being a father would be so rewarding and mean everything to me, and it does. Yeah, and I feel very fortunate to be a dad.
Mm-hmm. Does it impact your work in any way? Do you have you've got a pretty busy schedule? Yeah, it must.
yeah.
That's why it took so long to get those pieces.
Yeah.
Right.
It definitely influences my schedule. I would say for the better. There's no more procrastinating. No more. There's not a lot of overthinking anymore. It's more doing and being confident in that, and knowing that I have a greater purpose in life now to be a father and help them
And
on.
Britt, I didn't mention your wife, Britt.
Mm-hmm. Yep, my lovely wife, Britt. Yeah, she's amazing. She is amazing, and she keeps me grounded, and my biggest fan and my biggest critic. So everything that you see is gone through her eyes. So I thank her.
Yeah, she's a designer, isn't she?
Yeah, she's a designer. She graduated with a degree in design from University of Washington, and does web design for Microsoft.
Oh, does she? Okay, very cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking, what's behind you on the wall? It looks to be something pretty interesting there, but I'm not sure.
So behind me on the wall here is a drawing of Dale's of the Merletto series that recently was shown, I think a year ago, where it was a totally new series that Dale worked on, and I got to work like close with Dale. He was calling me every night and asking me about the design and what we should do, and it was amazing. I got close to Dale at that point. So pretty neat, a special time for me.
Mm-hmm.
And that happened 2 years ago. The show was a year ago, but us making that was 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
So how has COVID affected you as well? I mean, having a baby is one thing. The studio, you weren't able to work in the Chihuly studio for a while, were you?
No, we were laid off for 3 months, and I pretty much just worked alone in my studio on designs, and a lot of the stuff you'll actually see in the patterns and designs in the pieces that you have up there, Sandra, like the Marini and a lot of the cane designs. So I worked out a lot of stuff by myself here in my studio in my backyard.
Mm-hmm. So I know you've got quite a few slides, and you're going to tell us about your background. I purposely didn't want to talk about your parents, and because when you told me the story, I was kind of touched by it. It's very nice. So Daniel, maybe there, Daniel's, oh, there we go.
There we are.
Okay, so that's actually when we first met.
Yeah, that's us there at the boathouse.
That's
just
right.
Finishing up a day of Rotolos, so I'm real sweaty and dirty there. So Sandra Angel giving me a hug.
I came close. You couldn't scare me off. Yeah, that was quite a blow, those Rotolos. 17 people making those Rotolos at one time. Massive
team. My part in the whole scheme of that is very physical and very demanding. and I'm always on the brink. So I got to take care of my body those days, and my mind, and make sure I'm strong in both ends.
Sure. Okay. Well, thanks for sharing that picture. I want you to send that to me.
Awesome. Well, this is a picture of my grandparents here that are very special to me. My parents had me at a very young age when they were very young. My mom was 17, my father was 18. So my grandparents, they're Fred and Philomena, raised me when I was young. So I owe a lot to them, and the way I was raised, I'm really grateful. My grandfather grew up on a farm in Oklahoma. His mother died when he was 1 year old. And so he was raised by his 4 sisters in a small home which had a dirt floor. And he joined the military at a young age, and then was shipped off to World War II, and then came back, met my grandmother. They got married and had 6 children. And then he went back to school in the military and became a investigator in the Navy, which sent him off to the Northwest. And that's where he retired. And then he built his business.
That was an investigative business?
No, actually, and it still is, Christian recycling. So he was kind of like this clairvoyant, where he knew that metals were precious, and this was back in the 80s. And he started a salvage yard where they recycled metals, and it's still there. Mm-hmm. And my grandmother, Philomena, she is first generation Italian. They come from right outside of Florence, a town that I can't even pronounce the name. And they landed in New Jersey, and a big family. Met my grandfather, married my grandfather, and then they traveled and like I said, landed here in the Whidbey Island.
Mm-hmm. It's a remote place to land when you think about it.
Oh yeah, and especially back then, it's rural now. Mm-hmm. Back then it was country, definitely. It was the Navy base, and not much more than that. Yeah.
Good. Okay.
So this is a picture of my father and myself. Actually, that little baby there looks really similar to the little baby you're going to see in a couple more slides. Spitting image of me, kind of. My father was a metal fabricator. And I always grew up watching him use his hands, being creative and designing and manipulating materials. And I always had this crave to do that just by watching him and seeing that. But I didn't want to work with metal. So it was interesting that I found glass to be creative in the same way that he is with metal, but I didn't follow his path. Mm-hmm. So, and my mom, all the way to the right, was a first assistant open heart nurse for 20 years. And that's a long time for that profession. They very stressful job, as you can imagine, especially in the early days when she actually had to hold the heart while they were suturing it. She would actually suture the leg where they would take the arteries out of. She has an amazing set of hands, different than my father, but also creative and extremely sensitive. It's amazing to watch those two. It was really cool to me growing up. So I always knew I wanted to work with my hands in some way.
Mm-hmm.
So carrying on to my immediate family, this is my wife, Britt, here, my sunshine here. We're in St. Petersburg, Florida. We'll kind of go through a couple of these slides, show you her beauty.
She's lovely.
Here's us at, that is at, not Safeco, that is at the CenturyLink field, watching a soccer match. And then the next photo is here in La Conner, in early spring, the daffodil fields. You can see those lines of daffodils, really beautiful in the early spring. We love going up there, getting out of the city.
Very beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. And here's the next picture, is a picture of
he's so cute, Graham.
The boy and I.
Yeah.
He loves being outside already. He's avid outdoorsman already. He loves being outside. We go on a walk daily, even if it's snowing. You could see that. And he's a character already. He's a Leo, very strong personality and opinionated. So it is pretty amazing.
Just wait.
Yeah.
So Jason, isn't that a lot of snow for Seattle?
Yes. Yeah.
That looks like a lot of snow.
Yeah, we had a couple days this winter where it came down real good. Yeah, and
I can see that.
Yeah, we had to get out, and he loved it. He loved it. Yeah, he loved being out there for sure. So the next picture here is us. He's already wants to be in the studio. Whenever I'm in there working, he's really interested and loves to see. He loves the glass. He loves to touch it. You can't touch it too much, but he's really. It's really cool to see him mature even in this young age.
At 9 months, right?
Yeah,
looks like he's a redhead.
He is. He is, and he's got the fiery personality to match the red hair. So he, definitely is, as of right now. So we'll see. I have aunts that say some of my cousins were born with red hair, and then they went blonde, and then brown hair. Blah blah blah. So
might last.
Yeah, we hope.
I have a son who was a redhead, so he stayed red until he went white. There you go. So, and Daniel has a son who's a redhead.
Right. Yeah. So we hope he does, but whatever. Yeah. And he's got green eyes too on top of it all. So kind of rare on both sides.
For sure.
And there he is.
Oh, there he is. Okay.
Yeah. That's in his element. He's in his element now. Yeah.
I think he looks like you, Jason.
So I want to talk a little bit about some of the things that inspire me and the beauty here in the Pacific Northwest, and how lucky I am to be born and raised here, and be able to get that inspiration, just by walking outside. This is a picture of at Green Lake, which is like 5 miles from my home, on a Sunday morning in the fall. It's just, there's beauty everywhere you look. So I feel really fortunate to land on my feet here in Seattle, to have my start here in Seattle and live here in Seattle. And I have a lot of love for the city and the area, and I couldn't imagine living anywhere else in the world, really. And beautiful after all my travels, yeah.
It is a beautiful city.
And this is a bluff from one of the island, from Whidbey Island, that is near my home, where I grew up. You can see the mud on the bluff there is actually the mud I use on the cane plate to roll the cane up so it doesn't stick. So it's a little bit of a release there. And so I'll go, and whenever I need it, I'll just go over and carve it right out of the side of the bluff and take it. And yeah, pretty cool. Iconic Seattle there, the pink elephant car wash, may it rest in peace. It just went out of business last year. They will preserve that sign, and it'll be shown in a museum someday, hopefully soon. You can see in the background the Space Needle there. This is downtown Seattle, where I really cut my teeth as far as glass blowing goes. I often say my education in glass is a 15-mile radius in the Seattle area. And so, yeah, when I came up, the studios, it was just amazing. I could go to any studio any day and learn something completely new and different, and people were welcoming. And neat like that.
So you mean other artists would take you into their studio and show you how they did a particular technique?
Yeah, and they would, hey, lend us a hand, open the door, hold this paddle. Can you, do this? Hey, what are you doing next week? Can you come by and help us? Yeah, no problem. And that's how it all starts. And just coming in with a good attitude and a smile and showing you have a good work ethic, people are going to open the doors to that. So that'll get me kind of started on this next bit here, is how I did learn how to make glass. Is completely through the trade, and my education is completely through the trade. And I feel very lucky to have grown up through the glass trade that way. I started at the low end of the totem pole. I was a charger at the Glass Eye studio, and started working on the floor a little bit there, asking people, hey, where can I find other studios I can go into? Oh, go over there, up the street. You can go to Manifesto. They're making lights there. Martin Blank's studio. Hey, they're doing some cool stuff over there. Check this stuff out. So, I would just ride my bike into this, like I said, into the studios and check out what they were doing on the daily, and, find a place for me to be. And that just kept compounding. And I would show up 7 days a week like that and find a place to work. And I felt lucky. And so eventually people like Martin Blank hired me on. And then all of a sudden Nancy Callan's calling, hey, can you turn the pipe for me, Preston Singletary, hey, we got this project you'd be great for. Okay, great. And then eventually I got the call from Dale Chihuli's team, and they were, oh yeah, we're looking for a guy to be able to do this. Okay, I'm there, no problem. And then Lino's team called me eventually, and then just kind of I compounded, and it was just good attitude, smile, and hard work.
I recognize that piece as a Martin Blank. Oh, there you are with Lino.
Yeah, the maestro. Yeah. Feel very lucky to have him in my life. What a special mentor and piece of history right there. Just every time I work with him or around him, I learned something new, and I'm so grateful for that experience and that friendship. I can't tell you. There we are working at the Shack Art Center together not too long ago.
Oh, okay. You've had some very good mentors.
Yeah. There's Dale. Again, and actually this is during the Merletto series. Actually, that's one of the paintings there in the front there. Right. Yeah, and Dale, amazing how generous a person can be, and it's amazing how different each one of the mentors that I have are. Some are real subtle with how they teach, and some are really out there. And Dale, you would think is more out there, but what he instructs and his lessons are very subtle. You have to really listen. So I feel grateful. I am really grateful for all these people in my life. So yeah, enough about those folks. Let's talk about me. All right.
Okay, good.
Daniel, yeah, thank you. So heading back there, it's amazing getting to work with all these people and spending all this time. But now I always wanted, like I said, to create my own. And I started with, when I first started out on this path, I started out by making, the Venetian style vessels, goblets, etc. So here's a little clip of me making a goblet at the Museum of Glass, putting one together here. I do have a little bit of the fancy cane on there. But yeah, there's me putting together goblet, and I've always liked the challenge of something tricky, and so this kind of stuff was great for me. It really, the repetition, being able to see the improvement on the daily almost, is really cool. But even when I was making this, I knew I had a thirst for something a little more deeper, and I wanted to create sculpture, something that meant something to me, more to me. There's some more goblets there that I created. So I knew the only way I was going to be able to do this was I needed to have repetition. I needed to be able to make, and I needed to be able to have a place to create where I felt comfortable. So I needed to have my own studio. And 2006, right before the housing crisis happened, I bought my home, which crazily enough, it was the only opportunity I would have had to buy my home, because they were giving out loans to anyone at that point. So I hung tough when everything went south, and it took me years, but I was able to make my studio. And here's a little video. My studio is in a detached garage, about 30 feet away from my home. And it's a nice commute in the morning.
Yeah, don't worry about traffic.
No traffic. No traffic. So yeah, here's a little peek at it. So I made my studio specifically for what I wanted to make. There's not a lot of stuff I don't need. I don't powder booths and stuff like that. It is specifically for what I want to make. So you'll see it's small, but it has everything I need. And I tell people I can make about 80% of the things that I have that I make in my studio. If it's bigger, I'll pre-make everything in my studio. Then I'll take it to another studio, with bigger equipment, and then I'll make it there. I'll bring the patterns, the canes up, and then I'll make it there. Lately, I'm really grateful. Dale and Leslie and Jackson have opened up the studio for us to use. So I'm really, as we all are, Team Chihuly, are grateful for that. So here is something that's going to be, you'll see consistent in my work. The cane, there's multiple colors there. I love the technicality of it. I love the texture. I love the challenge of making cane. So yeah, I have a little video here that I'll kind of talk through the process a bit of cane pulling, and then I'm going to actually show you a Raticello stuff. towards the end of that. So here I am actually at the boathouse here, pulling some cane here. So I have a bit of glass there that I've dropped onto another pipe. I have my friend take the one pipe and I'll take the other. And just like taffy, we're going to stretch it all the way across the room. And we want to be as consistent as possible with the diameter of the cane. So I'm watching the diameter just off the tip of the pipe there, and just walking slowly or walking fast, just depending on how it's pulling off there, the heat that's happening. You'll see those wood ladders on the floor. We put those on the floor so that when we're done pulling it, that cane's still hot. If we put it on the floor, it would break. So on one side, cool too fast. So there I am pulling. And Sandra, you said you hadn't seen a pool that quite that long.
Very long. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know the distance of the boathouse it's pretty long. It's about probably about 60 yards.
Yeah, it's a very long distance, actually. That's amazing.
Yeah, it is very satisfying, actually, when you do it right. So we'll pull, and then when it tightens up, let it cool for a second, put it on the floor, and then I'll chop it up. I'm gonna chop it up. I have this handy cane chopper, cobalt steel, and you can see I press against the back there. It's a nice little setting for me. This is in my studio. And then what I'll do is I'll line those canes up on that kiln shelf right there. And I'm coming over with what is called a collar, and I'm rolling those canes up. Shoop. This is all solo. I made these were during the lockdown, actually. I made these blanks by myself and videoed by myself on top of it all, which is a challenge.
Must have been.
So this is a radicello. So I'm twisting in one direction. I always go to the right so I don't forget. And then I make a cup out of that and I put that into this little pickup kiln I have. Then what I do is I roll up another cane, which you just see me do, closing it off there by myself. Whoop. And I use a little broom. Sometimes that little bit of mud that you saw that I got from the bluffs gets on the cane. So I'm cleaning it up. And then I'm just squeezing everything together now. And there. And I see you have some questions. After we get done with this video, I'll answer the question.
There are a couple of questions now.
And so now what I'm doing is I'm twisting to the left, which is opposite direction. And I'll close that bubble off. And then I will take that bubble and I'll stuff it inside the other cup. And then blow really hard. And then they now are combined. And it makes a beautiful radicello blank.
Beautiful.
Awesome. So yeah, we'll open up the floor for some of the questions.
Let me see what the questions are. There is a question from someone that would like to know what is a charger. You said at the beginning that that's how you started your career working
at the glass eye.
Yeah. So what exactly was that you did, Jason?
So the charger responsibility is to melt the glass. So at the end of the day, depending on how big this studio or factory is, the charger will put the glass in the furnace and melt the glass. And it is can be a tricky job. To melt the glass correct, there's a science to it, and you got to be strict to the schedule and everything, and so that's how I started. Yeah.
So someone who you trust is doing that job.
Yeah, that's melting the glass for you.
Okay.
Mhm.
So another question from Ray, I think Ray knows you, is what's the percentage of failure breakage in pulling the cane? Or maybe what's the success rate or what's the failure rate? How does that work?
With just the
Pulling the
pulling-
cane.
Yeah, pretty high success rate. It was rare that we have a cane that's maybe because the color bar broke and there's some maybe bubbles inside of it.
Uh-huh.
But that's it's pretty rare. I would say 95%, 98%. It's what you do with it after that you have you can have it can be problematic, when you're the techniques when you're rolling that up and closing that off, that's where the problems are.
Okay. So it's not just you that you have success. Most people would have success at that point, you're saying. No. Okay. I don't think so. I think it's you. I think it's got to be you. I think there's, from what I've heard, there can be a lot of stress on that glass when you pull it. So
it's been, and like I said, having Lino as a mentor and learning from him, I feel like it's accelerated my learning.
sure.
And so, and he always said pulling cane should be like some like meditation, happy feeling, so I kind of feel that way whenever I'm doing pulling my cane. But don't get me, it's everything in glass is tricky. Everything. If you're making a clear cylinder, it's tricky. I don't want to downplay anything. It's really hard. I've spent sleepless nights just thinking about what I messed up that day. So it is extremely difficult. Yes.
I think so. You're being modest. I think it's really very difficult. I mean, how many artists today even excel in Razzacello? I mean, there's really a handful of people who will attempt the technique to begin with.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. No, it'll lead you down the road of frustration for sure. You have to have many failures before you have success. I'll say that. Yeah.
I have another question here, Jason, from Verna, and she would like to know, do other artists ask to purchase your cane, or do you just make the cane for yourself?
I have made some patterns for other artists in the past. Luckily now I'm able just to do it for myself. But yes, I have done made a pattern. I don't typically just make the cane for someone. Will come to me and they'll be like, can you make this pattern for me? And and I'll typically do it that way rather than just like make the cane, because like I said, actually the pulling of the cane is it's a little more easier than applying it to the pattern. That's where you get tricky. That's where it gets real tricky, is when you're making the Razzacello pattern, or you're spinning it and twisting it really tight, or making the Marini. That's when it gets tricky.
So tell us about this dragon that's up on the screen now.
All right. Yeah. So this is I love this series. It's a lot of fun. I had an opportunity to travel with Team Chihuly to Japan right around that time. I was working with Pino at Team Chihuly's and at Pilchuck. And being born the lunar year of I had this fascination. And here in the Northwest, we have a lot of dragons around in the ID International District. And just around, we're in the water, we're around the water. So there's serpents and dragons kind of all around the city. This one particular one is in the International District. They have them all on the light poles up and down Jackson Street. So yeah, with the dragon, it really is easy to, not easy, but is it's fluid. It's got a lot of movement, and it lends itself to glass.
Mhm.
So I wanted to make my own version of the dragon. The Venetians have been doing it for a long time, mostly in goblet stems,
Yes.
etc. Not so much. There are some bigger ones, specifically the ones that Pinot made. But I wanted to create my own version of the dragon, and so I set out doing that. Now, and then the next video, the next shot here is another shot on Beacon Hill of a dragon. Pretty cool. I love that one. That one's kind of hidden away behind the tree. And so here's a little video of me making the dragon head. I spend a lot of time on the head itself. I'll spend probably about 3 hours on the head. Here's me at Ball State University making a head. And this is hot sculpture. So on my dragons, again, have the cane in it. So what you're looking at here, I've already rolled up some cane. I've elongated. I started the body. So if you look at the part that's closest to the pipe, that's going to be where the tail is. And the part that's furthest away, that's the head. And I'm applying a wrap to it, a clear wrap, and it goes all the way down. This is a really tricky move right here to apply this nice and even and not mess it up. So we will go all the way down, and it'll give a texture of scales.
Ah, interesting.
And then the next video here is that very exact same piece finished. And Sandra, you have a dragon up here. This is the most recent dragon I've done in my studio. They've gotten a lot more complex. I've added wings to them.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Look different than my dragon. Yes, I have a beautiful dragon. Oh,
And
that's my dragon.
The dragon you have.
Yeah, yes.
Up there. Yeah.
Beautiful dragon.
So, yeah, if you look closely to it, you can see that wrap, and behind that, you can see the cane. And then if you look up close, there's a lot of detail in the head.
Mm-hmm.
Put a lot of detail into the head.
Right.
And the stands are made by my friend Gene here that works and lives in Seattle. He's also on Team Chihuly. Great guy. Amazing. These are amazing pieces.
They are. They've been popular in Toronto. I've sold a couple of the dragons.
Yeah, they're amazing. So this is the first series that I ventured off onto. It's the Fabergé inspired eggs. At the time when I started these, I got into reading about the House of Fabergé and their design firm and their craftspeople. They were the best craftspeople. And it wasn't as much about the materials as it was the refinement of the craft. And so I wanted my pieces to be that same way. I wanted to try to perfect my craft. So yeah, these have been fun. Sandra, you have the 3 of the newest ones that I've done. I revisited these pieces. Yeah, and this actually, the piece that you speak of about at the boathouse, at Julie's Boathouse,
Yes.
is a Fabergé inspired egg.
Mhm.
And so here's a little video of me making one. And it has the radicello in it, of course. Here's a little, and this is the foot. These are assembled and glued together, these pieces.
So after the glass is cold, they're assembled?
Yes, these ones are assembled cold. And these
very
are
elegant.
the ones you have, yeah.
Mm,
And they
very
are
beautiful.
extremely ornate. And these pieces get pretty big, can get pretty big too.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I love these ones.
We have one very small one as well, small white one.
Oh
And
yeah,
which
with
is
the
a
lid,
lovely
that
piece.
one is,
I guess that
yeah.
was the kind of the beginning of that series, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
lovely piece.
Yeah, that one's a cool one. Yeah, that's a different form of radicello. So that one's a really neat one.
Mhm.
And this one
These are
is
exquisite.
a Marini piece that has a 24 karat gold. It's got the gold foil in it. There it is.
Beautiful.
Yeah, love this series. Love making it. It's a lot of fun blowing out these vessels and just going for it.
They're incredibly elegant, very, very elegant.
Thank you. You know, and I feel like I learned a lot of proportions and stuff like that from another mentor, James Mongrain, and I feel like those really started to get refined when I started working with him. So yeah, shout out to James.
I mean, James for sure. He's really not that, well, you're a master, but he's definitely a master of that Venetian technique. His work is remarkable. I remember his exhibition at the Museum of Glass. I saw that. That was.
Yeah, I was a big part of that, actually. I made a lot of the cane there and rolled up a lot of the cane and assisted him on a lot of that stuff. Yeah, that was a fun project. A lot of fun. We had a good time.
I remember walking into the room and it took my breath away. It was overwhelming.
Yeah. A lot of work too. Yeah, beautiful. So this is my latest series here. These pieces I'm really excited about. These yo-yos. I set out making these probably about 6 years ago. I was a gaffer, craftsperson at Pilchuck Glass School. And I had an opportunity to make my own work one particular day. And I had been thinking about this design for a really long time. I always loved like the texture of the cane and the Marini and stuff and being able to touch it and feel it. But I didn't know how to like get that without, you know, I just could never figure that out. And so I, you know, thought about it. I sketched this out and I said, let's just give this a try. And so we started out by making these yo-yos. And I feel like I love these things. I really do. So here's a little video. We're going to I'll talk you through the process here. It kind of, this is a very complicated piece. If you look at it, you'll be like, how the heck did he make that anyways? So I start off with a pattern like this one, radicello. I'll blow out one bubble and I'll leave a little bit of clear glass on the bottom. There's a marble there that I'll put in between. Then I'll get another bubble and I'll join that bubble to that marble. So I have two bubbles that are stuck together. You're going, oh, that's like in Como. No, it's different than in Como. So now what I have is an open end on one side that will open up and roll over into that nice profile. And then focused. Then we'll punny that part up and open up the other side. And this is my favorite part here, right when we're starting to get those profiles together.
Yeah, how did you do that?
It took a long time. It took a while to figure this one out.
It's
For
fabulous.
sure. And these pieces I really love. They're amazing to me. I feel like they are really polished now. This one is around World 3.
Yeah. Wow. Mm-hmm. Where do your ideas come from? Like, when did you decide you want to make yo-yos? How does that happen? Because you don't use traditional forms. The patterns are traditional, but your forms are from somewhere else. Where do the ideas come from?
I think, you know, being immersed in this technical glass world, I'm pretty, I feel like that is inspires me to make something that is completely different than anything else. And so then it really sets out and go, man, that would be cool if I did this, you know, like a low bowl. But if I flipped it inside out and then I joined it to another one, that'd be really neat. And so that's kind of where it went. And the technicalities of the thing push me for sure. And that really pushes the work for sure. And so, you know, I find a little something that works here, and then I go with it. And then a little something that works here, and then I go with it. And I, you know, I see the yo-yo.
So I wonder if that's going to stay. There it goes. How beautiful those are.
Yeah. This one's Mindbender too. Mm-hmm. Something special about the photographs and the videos. I work with a gentleman named Ian Lewis. Really lucky to be working with him. When the pandemic hit, we realized, oh man, the galleries are going to need something so that people can see a 360-degree view of it. And he got a turntable, and we just started spinning the glass.
Mm-hmm. So I have a question from Stuart, who wants to know, how large are the yo-yos, and do they have a flat bottom for display?
Mm-hmm. This one here, Mindbender 2. This one, Sandra, I think is 18.
I don't have the measurement. It might be that Daniel has it there. Do you, Dan? Maybe not. We can find out at the end.
Yeah, I think this one approximately is 18 tall by 18 wide by about 7 deep, and 20 inches tall by 20 inches wide is the biggest I've ever made them. Mm-hmm. So this is that's a really nice size for me.
This one's slightly smaller, isn't it?
Yes, this one's a Lindy Loop 2.
And then how does it, we're not seeing the bottom. Do you want to explain how that sits at the bottom?
Yeah, we grind a little spot on the bottom. There it is. Now you can see it. We grind a little flat spot on the bottom so that we don't disrupt the profile of it unless we have to. If there's like a bubble on the bottom that I have to remove or something like that, then we'll grind it a little more. But we try to keep them so that it's very minimal, but they are very sturdy standing up. It would take a Seattle style earthquake to knock one over.
Okay. So was that our last? I have another question here. Did you have another slide?
One more.
Ray wanted to know the dimensions of the dragon. So I know they vary slightly. The one that's in the gallery, do you remember that offhand? Because I don't have the dimensions here.
I can answer that question. Sorry for interrupting.
Okay, thank you.
The dragon in the gallery is 13 inches high by 20 wide by 10.5 inches deep. And as well, Mindbender, which someone else had inquired about, is 16 by 16 by 4 inches deep.
So is that the end of the
Hello?
slides? Yes? I think we're frozen for a second here. Jason, can you hear me? There's Jason. Hey, Jason, was that the end of the slides? I think so.
I think so. Yeah.
They were beautiful.
Thank you.
I mean, I love the new work.
Thank you.
So-
And I just want to, one last thing, I just want
Sure.
to give a big thank you out to everyone that has supported me, my wife, my family, Chihuly Studio, Lino Studios, everyone that supported me. It definitely takes a village to get this, you know, to be doing what I'm doing. So I'm real grateful for and thankful to all those people that have contributed.
So, Jason, what do you see coming next? What's the future? Here's where we are right now.
So I have actually in the works right now, I'm with these yo-yos, I'm working on a commission for a larger hanging installation that I'm really excited about.
That's a cool idea.
Yeah, there's going to be about 8 to 9 of these pieces and larger in that 20-inch scale. So I'm pretty excited about that coming down the pipe. I have a little workshop I'm teaching, and then I'm just going to try to enjoy the summer a little bit with my family. My baby will be 1 year old in August, so be able to spend some time with them.
You're off to Oklahoma, aren't you, shortly? Is that where the
Yeah,
workshop is?
to Tulsa. Yeah, workshop and a residency, 2-day residency, where I'm going to be doing. I think I'm going to be doing. I have some ideas. I don't want to lead on too much, but it's going to be with some more Marini stuff like that, and cane work. So I'm pretty excited. It takes a long time to develop things. So these residencies are so crucial to what I do. Being able to just go into the studio and throw caution to the wind. If we don't get anything in the oven at the end of the day, it's no big deal. So yeah, I'm excited for that.
That's amazing. That is really amazing. I think I have another question here for you. Before I might be wrong. I think that's all the questions I have, unless someone else has a question. I mean, I think you've come a long way from really just dropping almost, you know, into the studio, the glass blowing studio as a charger, and knowing that that was what you had to do and what you wanted to do. It's amazing. Here you are today.
Thank you, Sandra. Yeah,
and I
thank
know,
you.
I mean, I think you excel at what you do, but I know obviously you have so many more ideas and so many more challenges ahead. And with all the people who have supported you, it's just such a compliment to your ability and to your work ethic that you have all those people behind you, Jason. I think it's amazing. Yeah, it's really
Yeah,
amazing.
thank you for the opportunity. Yeah, like you said, I feel like I'm just getting started, and I'm really excited for the future ahead. And you know, I won't be making patterns for other artists. I'll be making patterns for myself. So yeah,
Who knew?
I'm
That's
excited.
great.
I'm excited.
Okay, so if we don't have any other questions, I am probably going to say goodbye to Jason, but not for long. Jason, I hope by next year I can come out and see you in the studio again. It might not be this year, but bring some people out to Chihuly and visit. Everyone always loves meeting you and watching what you do on the team, so that's great. Thank you so much. Dan, do you have any questions there before we go?
Last question is from Barbara. Barbara would like to know, how many years did it take you to get go from being a charger to where you are today?
23 years. 23 years, yeah, strong. And that a lot of those years were 6-7 days a week and full steam ahead. I love it, breathe it, and bleed it. Glass, and so you follow your passion, and I'm lucky I don't call it work. It's something I love, and so at the end of the day, it's amazing. Really is.
And today you make it look easy. You're so good at it.
Thank you, Sandra. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. And thank you for coming here to Toronto. And I mean, our guests are from all over, but I thank you for coming and supporting the gallery as well, Jason.
Awesome.
So,
thank you, Sandra.
Okay. Until we meet again.
All right.
Take care. Ciao.
All right.
Okay. Bye.